All right, so in this video we're going to be looking at stacks. Not pancake stacks, but stacks, just another, way you could lay out your stuff here. And I don't know why, but my computer decided to tell me I have an Adobe update. So if you heard that, I apologize. So after we get out of this part of the video, we're going to look at the docs because you should always look at the docs. And then, obviously, you already know we're going to do some coding, so let's get to it. All right, let's check out the stack here. And what's important to note is that it's not just a stack. There's actually three components of the stack you could use. We're going to get into them. But let's read what is at the top here. Stack is a layout component that makes it easy to stack elements together and apply a space between them. It uses a modified version of the CSS lobotomized owl selector to add spacing between its children. I'm not sure what the CSS lobotomized owl selector is. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but if you want to click on it, go to the docs yourself. Feel free to check it out and let me know in the comments below what's there. But let's actually see how you use this. So let's check out the import and then the different kinds of stacks they give us. So looking at the import, we could see below here that there's these stack, HStack, and VStack, as you can see here in the import. It says stack is used to add spacing between elements in the horizontal or vertical direction. It supports responsive values. HStack is used to add spacing between elements in a horizontal direction and centers them. And VStack is the same, but it moves in a vertical direction only. It centers them as well. So let's look at the usage here. So we can see here we have a horizontal stack right here. We have just some regular old boxes on the inside. And we could see that there's a spacing of 24 pixels between these boxes right here. Not a revolutionary example, but a simple example. But it could show you that if you want to stack things horizontally, you could also do this with a grid. You could do this with flex. But say you want to, do things in a more specific, unique way, and you just kind of like how stack handles this, there's no really right or wrong answer. Maybe in some niche cases there are, to how you want to align your boxes or items within an HStack. So looking here, you could see that you could pass the responsive values to the stack component to change direction and or spacing between elements. So what is interesting to know here is that we have the column and we have row. And you can't really get a good idea right here on like what's going on because, you're scrolling through a web page and there's still an order 1, 2, 3. So what's this direction doing here? And so as you change the size of your screen, you can in fact change whether something is a column or a row. That is one of the examples we're actually going to be getting to after this section. So here we're looking at dividers. It says in some scenarios you may want to add dividers between stacked elements, pass the divider prop, and set its value to the stacked divider or any custom React element. And so you can see right here, they have this stack divider component in here. They're giving it the border color of gray 200. And that's how you have these horizontal lines coming in right here. Now, if you want to get a bit more fancy with that, you could just stick your own custom React component in here. And you could, add colorful stuff in between the rows or columns, however you want to do it. So dividers are pretty simple to do. You just kind of insert what you need inside of here. And we're going to be doing an example with that after this section. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. So looking down at this example right here, we could see we have plan money, save money, and then this content in here. So what's going on is that they have this component named feature that's taken in all these, props here. It's returning a box with a heading and some text. So the box, the heading right here, save money, and then the text down below. And we are putting that inside of this stack X component here, and we're rendering it out down below. And so what we're going to have is the spacing of 8 in between these two features here, which remember is this component. And we're just giving them titles and descriptions here. And this is one of the neat things you could do with Chakra, is you could do all sorts of stuff like this. Say you need a custom component or even like I consider them mini components that go inside larger components here. They're all components, but you tend to categorize them after a while. And if you need to put something in a stack like this, go for it. If you make something else and you need to put it in a vertical stack, that's fine. Or maybe even at certain breakpoints, as we saw above, you need to, change how this looks or this appears. This is kind of the interesting power of Chakra, and also, using these stacks here. This is a very simple layout, a very responsive, reliable layout. And you can see it's just as easy as returning a stack and then slapping some, text in there. So looking at this right here, says stack items horizontally. So we could pass the direction and set it to row. Optionally, you could use align and justify to, take care of the items therein. So we have another feature that we've already, seen above. This has some different kinds of, props is coming on in. The boxes are, have slightly different arguments here. And so we're putting it in a horizontal stack right here. And it's still, rendering out these components, the way it is. And this is just a very, very easy pattern to replicate in your code. And so let's go on to the last example here. We just have some notes on stack versus flex, and it says stack's primary use case is to lay items out and control the spacing between each item. If you have a more complicated use case, such as changing the margin on the last child, you could combine stack and flex and use justify content space between for more control of the layout. Well, that's cool. I'm glad they talk about the use cases on here. Sometimes you have to go in Stack Overflow or other places to kind of get an idea of what is a good use for this kind of technology or, code. And so it's really nice that they tell you this flat out here. Now also here are some props. Just scrolling through them kind of fast here. We could, you could go to the documentation yourself, but let's get to the fun portion of this and do some coding. All right, so in this example right here, we're going to create a stack, which we already have right here. And then we're going to create some boxes in there. And then we're going to show you how to use the different sizing and the direction to, change how your stack looks. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and create the boxes. So now that we have that written, let's start this and see what happens. You can see we have the stack right here. Now let's add the direction in, give it a little bit of spacing, and I'll show you as you move your screen size around, it will change based upon the size of the screen. So now we have this sizing right here. Let's come in and expand this out because this is a column. And then we see it turns into a row. But what about the column reverse? We see that it's a column right here, and then it turns into a row once it hits that large breakpoint. Let's inspect it. So we're going to turn this into a responsive right here. And we see, because it rendered is an extra small on the mobile small right here, we're getting the 321 instead of the 123. So as we expand it, it flips. And so this is for small, medium, and then large. And let's go into the next example of this, and let's show you how to create a divider to break up and separate the things in your stack. Alrighty, for the second example, what we're going to be doing is looking at the divider here. And I do have this box padding 4 here, and I honestly forgot that I didn't record this example and the next one. I remember coding them out because I have a file of snippets. So yeah, as I was putting this together, I was like, where the hell did my 2 other examples go? So here they are from scratch. So let's make an H stack. We're going to, just slap some boxes in there. and we're going to show y'all how to just throw an ordinary divider in here, and it's just going to be a box for a basic example. So let's get to coding. So we have this example right here, and let me just bring this down because no one really needs to see that I'm actually running this. We have the H stack right here, and we have, some padding, border bottom width, stuff to make it look super fancy schmancy. And as you notice, I just copy and pasted the boxes over because this is just simple stuff in here that the H stack is acting upon. So as we see the divider right here, we have the background color black. We have a border on here. We could change the border color. I think I just kept this here because I was like debugging to see how it kind of looked as I was going along here. So this border may not be too impactful, but we have a width and height of 10 on here for the boxes. So they're, very similar in size to the boxes that we have down below here. And this is just a stupid, plain, ordinary, boring example how to use dividers. But as you get fancier, you can use images, pictures, icons, whatever it is you want to, I said that twice, to lay out your data, space out your data, and make it easier for your end user. So in the next example, in the last example, what we're going to do is make a Bernie picker. And so I'm overly obsessed with my dog, and we're going to lay out just a kind of nonsensical example of using the V stack, flex, center, H stack, and maybe some other components y'all haven't seen yet to make basically a picker where we could click on an image and it shows my dog. So I'll see y'all in just a moment. Alrighty, in this final and I think fun example, maybe it's just fun for me, I'm going to set the set up the Bernie picker. So let's get to coding. I'm going to copy and paste some of the boring stuff on in. The rest I'm just going to code. And at the end, we're going to discuss how everything's working together. So let's get to coding. So now we have this basic thing right here. We have this, the box, the flex in here. We have my derpy looking dog. And we have Bernie. He is my buddy. So let's go ahead now and make the rest of it where we're actually going to select the images down below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste in this horizontal stack right here because it's a lot of the same thing over and over. And trust me, we'll go line by line and explain how it works. So we have this right here. And now as I select these guys right here, it switches the different stuff here for Bernie. And I'm not a designer. I'm not a graphic designer. But let's go and talk a ways through this. So we have this V stack. And as we start there and scroll to the bottom, everything is in this V stack. So as we come back up here, we have this flex, which is encompassing, let me space this out here, everything up in here. So we have the width, height of 400 pixels. The background is yellow, and I'm doing this because I want that to be, you know, kind of at the forefront, the highlight here that, you know, this is different than the V stack in and of itself, which has a gray background. And then we have the center, which you can see it's centering right here, both Bernie and he is my buddy. And there's no extra work here. I just say, hey, I want the center tag, and it's doing all this work for me. Could have used another component, but this was just a quick go-to. So exiting out of here, I have this box now, and what I have inside of it is an H stack. And then I have these series of images in here, which are all of these. And these right here, whenever I click on them, it sets for whatever, you know, image it is. It updates the state to that image of Bernie. So this is 0. This will be Bernie 1 right here. 2, 3, and then 4 as we go down here. They all have alt descriptions right here, their appropriate box sizes, and then we have object fit cover. This is just a nice way with box size and the object fit cover, because I don't think we've done images yet, of just making your photo fit and sit nicely so it's not distorted, weird, or being kind of cut off. And this is how we could use, you know, our V-stacks, our divider right here, which is this super solid black line. We could use our flex as well, images, you know, stuff we haven't seen together to make a very ugly looking but cute kind of thing for maybe our dog that we love, or significant other if you take this and remodel the code. So once again, I'm not a graphic designer, but I do love showing how this stuff works together. And if you like what I'm doing, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.